Good morning. Welcome to my podcast named Woman's Right. My name is Camila Garcia. I study in Prepatec Vallalto, and in this podcast, I will be talking of how child marriage is a big problem in the world. Also, I will be sharing interviews from people who are specialists in this subject and solution of this problem. So, let's start. To focus on girls and women to have the same right as men, but also focusing on stopping the abuse the men have toward the women, like rape, an issue that people do not take into account so much and that they think is not a major problem, is the child marriage. Child marriage. This problem is seen by a lot of parents something normal. The girls are forced to run a lot of risks. One of the risks that is the most common is the one of sexual violence, and because in the majority of the countries that have child marriage doesn't have enough resources, the girls are at the risk of contracting to HIV and AIDS. Some causes of this problem in Niger is of the poverty that the country has, the beliefs and the level of education they have. Also, in Niger, the civil code says that the boys can get married when they are 18, but for the girls it's from 15 up. But even if the civil codes say that, they don't even respect it. It seems that there is no code. There are even girls that get forced to marry at 12 or 13 years old. At that age, child marriage also can bring many problems for the health of the girl. Almost all the girls that are married in a young age give birth at 15 years old, and this can cause the death of the girl or the death of the child or both deaths. 30% of the girls at that age are malnourished. 48% were affected by obstructive fistula for the first time at age 10 and 19. This has been a problem in Niger since a long time. There are a lot of NGOs who are trying to stop this problem, but even if they try to improve the education, talk to the parents, and explain the problems to the people who are doing this, the changes that are made are small. So, here comes a question. Are people doing something to stop this problem? And responding my question, yes, there are people doing something to stop this. As I already said before, Niger has a big problem with the subject of child marriage. But although they see it as something normal, there are people who are trying to change this kind of thinking. Girls Not Brides is an NGO that helps the girls that are being forced to get married. This NGO is not only helping Niger girls, it's helping almost all of the girls in the world. This NGO has mainly 6 goals. The first one is to make the government start taking action of this problem. This will be made by the members of the NGO, Girls Not Brides. They will demand accountability, they will share facts, data, and experiences they have and try to involve the community so they have help from the country. Their second goal is to make this problem a global news. They wanted international actors to get involved and help them by spreading this problem and by calling international mechanisms. The third one is to make the community against the child marriage. The fourth one is to increase their funding. This will be made by accepting donations. The fifth goal is about learning. They want to educate all of these people so they know how bad this problem is and what is the right way to marriage. And the last goal is about partnership. They want to increase the capacity of the members of Girls Not Bride by sharing knowledge and experience. After getting all this information, I had the opportunity to interview several experts on this subject, or who have seen or experienced a situation like the child marriage. Although the interviews will be anonymous, I can assure you that the answers I had were very helpful to know more about the subject of child marriage. What do you think about children who are forced to marry people older than them?
In my opinion, I think that everyone should choose who to marry, but my opinion is based on what I live in my society. Many people see this as normal. For example, in the Maasai culture, someone's marriage is usually already praised when they are babies. And when the woman reaches puberty is when they get married.
Also, we have another opinion about this.
It is a practice that is still current in many African countries and not only. It is part of the culture of these countries that specially affect girls forced to marry adults and considers that the only function of women is to procreate and care for the family and therefore they must be young.
Do you think that people are giving enough importance to the subject?
Not at all. I do not think we have the dimensions of the problem because it is something that we do not see daily in our closest reality, and that also in Mexico there is this practice.
What are some of the risks of this problem?
As I commented, being the practice focused on the young women having children at an early age, the biggest risk has to do with health. The body of the girls, even if they have the basics to procreate, is not fully prepared to do so, and therefore it becomes delicate to carry a pregnancy to term. The complications that it can suffer can lead to permanent damage to your body. In addition, at the early age corresponds a set of responsibilities and tasks according to...
Yes, I stayed a few days with Maasai tribes. I met a girl who was barely 15 years old. She was married and pregnant with a man from the tribe. That Maasai tribe were nomads, and 20 families were living together. They were more women because almost all women shared a man.
How should you act and what do you have to do if you are involved in this problem?
I think nothing, because it is normal for them, and if they are happy, then they should continue like this. But it makes me sad how the woman despises herself.
What do you think could be a solution to this problem?
This deeply rooted practice can be combated with the intervention of different actors, both international and local. The UN with UNICEF could carry out an awareness campaign in the countries with the highest incidence. The governments of the most affected countries should also emphasize the importance of girls studying and improving their living conditions instead of getting married. Non-governmental organizations could also do an important job of getting to know all the people involved that this type of practice implies and what problem it produces. All this would take a long time. We have to work constantly for many generations so that what is cultural changes in a definite way.
We told them what it was like in our culture, and everything we told them could not be believed. They saw us as strange beings. One solution is to give more value to women because in this culture the woman is very below the man.
Do you think that this problem in the future can be solved?
Yes, but very, very far. There are still many Maasais in Africa and cultures that think like that. But I also had to live with Maasais who already went to university and they have a different vision of the world and they do not think that way anymore.
It is somewhat slow, but also the most ingrained customs can change. Much will depend on the perseverance and the effort of all those involved so that change is achieved. And a lot also has to do with the value that is given to women in all stages of their lives. That is what we have to work urgently. If you do not understand the value of women in society, procreate but also be productive in the economy and in many other areas, it is not going to be able to reach any profound change.
So, those were the interviews. As we could see, the specialists in this topic, they believe that the problem can be solved and hopefully it will be solved. Now, to conclude this podcast, I wanted to add that child marriage is not a problem which can be solved from one day to the next. And it is also a problem that very few people give importance. We must support the organizations that are trying to end this problem and also help girls who suffer this type of abuse. We would not like that one of us or a family will pass this problem. Many thanks to the specialist interview and many thanks to you for listening to me.